So that's what I'm going to do here first, is do a quick rundown of this. Some of you have seen this, some of you haven't, but I'm told every time I teach it, people get more out of it. So you may want to pay attention, because there's always a lot of things that happen here as we've gone through this many times, that there's other dimensions that are just brought to light about it, especially after run this by quite a few leaders. All the leaders at the Next Level Mastermind Intensive were like, this is transformational. So I'll break this down, and some of you have seen this. We all like pyramids, at least, you know, upside down pyramids. That's going to have to work for now. And do 1, 2, 3, and voila. Now, this is a very, very old analogy. Now, the framework, someone did it after him, but a lot of you may know about Eugene Schwartz, and he wrote a few books. He's one of the best direct mail sales letter copywriters ever, where, you know, people, you know how back in the days before the internet, you used to get, you know, mail, and you used to get these long letters that were sales letters, and they were, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages long, just ridiculous, you know, lengths, and they worked better than anything. And so a lot of people can complain and say, oh my God, they're too long, they don't work. Long copy always trumps short copy. It's one of the things that you'll know once you start, you know, if you get into copywriting. And what he explained in here, which I was able to take and adapt to our industry, which there were a few insights and cool things in our industry specifically that is not present using this same thing in other industries. So I'll break this down real quick, and I'm just going to call it this. Level 5, I'm going to go from level 5 down to 1, okay? So we're going to do 5, 4, 3, see if you guys can see that, 2, 1, and unaware, aware, problem, aware, solution, aware, product, aware, you. Okay? Unaware, aware of the problem, aware of the solution, aware of the product, and aware of you. Now, I went through a whole storytelling format that I taught at the Next Level Mastermind Intensive that transformed people's businesses. And when they understood this and how a story can logically take someone all the way down from level 5 down to level 1, and I displayed and demonstrated how that caused you to have a very high customer value, a very high retention, and a very high upgrade rate. And people stick with you, and why that is, because there's all these elements that go into play. But let me break this down a little bit more and give you an idea of what's really happening here right now. So you've got someone who's just really classically and typically not aware of that they even have a problem. There's someone who may be, when we're network marketing related or online making money, you know, obviously the problem is, like, you know, people want more money, they want more opportunity, they want to be able to have more out of life. And so what the thing here is not, I'm going to move this up here a little bit again, but the thing here is those people are not even aware of it. Wow, I just put that right on the, yeah. Anyways, you get the idea. Unaware, that's horrible handwriting, my God. So unaware, someone doesn't even know they have a problem. And so you have to shed light on the problem. Now, the problem is convincing them to understand that they have a problem. And oftentimes you have to show, you have to connect with them on a similar interest or a similar wavelength where you guys have a common bond already, where you may have something in common, and then talk about the same problems that you have because of that common bond, puts you in the same area of the same problems. I'll explain more about that in a minute. But when you can say, look, we both have these problems, but guess what? It can be better than this. These people have done it, or I have done it, let me show you, let me tell you their story of what happened. Let me tell you the story that were just like, the story of these people that were just like us, okay? Identifying with the same sets of problems, were just like us, that had these same problems, that found this solution that solved these same sets of problems. So you can do it, and that's in fact a lot of what I practice on Facebook with the Facebook ads and long copy stories, is connecting with people who have a common interest of, you know, my personal niches are normally a lot of the personal development, law of attraction, and the spirituality personal development, and connecting with them there, and then introducing the problems and the solutions through the story, through my own personal story or telling other stories. And you see, the difference here with the unaware is that, you know, in the mainstream of at least the US, normally it's on a country basis, country by country basis, you have unaware in capital, all right, you have a particular product that's known in the masses, in the mass mind of people, and that's where it's at. You take razors, and people know about, you know, Bic, Mach 3, you know, quadruple rate, quattros. They know about it. There's not any of them that don't know about razors. And so that's more of like a, you know, level 2, okay? And some of them are level 1, where they operate off of prestige and credibility and authority and such. But you can't sell a razor to somebody using copy that is designed for a level 5 person who's unaware of the problem, that says, hey, you know, do you realize that you have this hair growing out of your face and or off of your legs for ladies, and maybe your face too, who knows, and that you need a razor. There's not really anybody in our society that hasn't been exposed to razors and exposed to the problem and the solution of it and how to get it. And so you can't do that. You can't market at this level using level 4 and 5 awareness. You can't market that way, because each level has a different way of marketing. Each level has a different way of, your headlines are different. The offer is different. The benefits are different. The problems are even different. And you want to know what that is, because if you don't, then you're missing the boat. This is something that Avram, when I showed Avram, he was like, you just made me $1 million. Then Kayala said the same thing when we got on a Hangout. And many people have said it since, especially the ones that came to the event. And so you've got normally 4 and 5, which are people who are outside of the niche. So how does this translate? What does this mean for you? And how does this translate to the business opportunity, make money online, affiliate marketing, network marketing niche? How does this translate? Right now, we're in a unique position where you have network marketing that is known to a little more than half of the population of the world, but the other half have never heard of it. You tell them Amway, and they're like, "What's that?" You know, and you tell them, you know, Herbalife or something, and they're like, "I've heard of that, but I have no idea what that really is or what that means. I don't know what that solves. I don't know. I don't get it." And so you have people who are completely unaware of what's going on, and not just unaware of the company. They're not unaware. They're not aware of the solution, which would be one of these, you know, business opportunity companies or whatever. They're not aware. So there's people out here that are totally unaware and unaware of the problem they have, that you can say, hey, you have a problem, you know, your life sucks, in case you didn't realize it, and it can be better. Here's people that have found a solution and their life is better. They used to be like you. This is the true story of how they made that happen, by using this solution. Let me show you and break this solution down for you and how you can find out more about it. You can't have that conversation with a product like razors, just as a contrast for you. So the unique part about our industry is that there's very few people that even know. When you say affiliate marketing, they're like, what's that? You say online marketing, they're like, don't I have to know how to build a website in order to sell something? And then they don't realize they can take payments. They don't understand merchants. They don't understand merchant gateways. They don't understand e-wallets. They don't understand any of that stuff, and they don't even know it exists. I walked around for like 3 or 4 or 5 years while I was in real estate. Okay, I was a real estate agent, and I was learning SEO, and I always said to myself, if I knew how to build websites, I would go and build websites and sell stuff. And then I could create automated websites that had videos that sell stuff, like some of the stuff I bought online, some of the information products I bought, some of the personal development products I bought, like how I bought HoloSync, like how I bought this stuff. If I knew how to build websites, I could sell information. I could sell products. We're moving into an information age where you get paid according to the value that you give, not the time that you put in. It's a difference, you know? How much value does that add to someone? Well, that's how much you get paid. That's not an hourly wage type thing. And I was like, if I could get there, I wouldn't have to sell real estate anymore. This would be awesome. And I always thought about that. And so I was here. I was aware of the problem. I was like, I wanted more money. I wanted free time. I wanted freedom. I wanted leverage. I wanted to be able to have things, a system set up for me that sells for me while I'm not there. I did it once and kept on getting paid, residual. And I always thought that to myself, and I was like, but I have to know how to build a website. I don't know coding. I don't know HTML. I don't know JavaScript. I don't know any of that stuff. So I can't go and do all that stuff, and I think it's probably way too expensive to hire a programmer, and I don't know one other than the people that gave me those canned template real estate websites that I paid $50 a month for, that I got to log into and create, you know, my own little content, but I didn't know how to make that stuff. I didn't know how to host it. I didn't know how any of that worked. So I walked around with that problem, and then all of a sudden one day, Dave Wood tells me, let me show you how easy it is to set up a blog. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It's that easy? And my life changed. I was like, screw this real estate stuff. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Now that I know how to do this, I can easily throw up blogs and sites. I don't have to know coding. I can just insert stuff and then pay for graphics to be made and copy and paste and put those in there and upload them. Oh my God. Okay, easy. I don't have to be technical wizard. I don't have to understand HTML. I'm good. I'm sold. Done. And so I got to here. I got to level 3. Completely different than level 5 and level 4. That's why I like to put these lines between 5, 4, and 3, because it's a major difference in the way that you operate, in the way that you market to somebody. And here's what's happened. Okay, so let's take Empower. We now understand why things slowed down when we had already grown past the point that we thought we were going to tap out at anyway. And I'll get more to that in a minute. But we had grown so far past it, and we were like, wow, we're just going to keep growing. This is amazing. Okay, well, we'll just keep going with this. So the EMV2 launches, things start going downhill where the amount of signups are slowing way down. We're like, what the heck's happening? And obviously we didn't make that connection too well about it. But it was the blog that was driving a lot of this. And we changed the blog to where it was not user, we thought it was easier, but people hated it. You couldn't stand it, and people stopped blogging. Well, also, all of those blog posts, when they got switched over to subdomains, they lost their SEO rankings. Because of that, all of the traffic that was coming in through blogs stopped happening. They dropped off the search engines. They dropped off all the people that wrote blog posts and then just posted on Facebook and social media and like the 8 big social media sites out there and made a YouTube video about it and linked it back to their blog so that it would rank in the search engines. And when they didn't do that, when all of a sudden the permalink changed and all this stuff, when the permalinks changed and all this stuff, don't worry about it, Amy. When the permalinks changed, then we lost those rankings. And a lot of people stopped blogging right away because they lost their momentum. And so what we found is that a lot of people were marketing to level 4 and 5 people who were not yet in the niche. We looked at some of the highest and top ranking blogs out there that got the most traffic. And they were random stuff. I mean, I'm talking what brand of diapers to choose, reviews and shit like that. Had nothing to do with making money online and being laser targeted and all that stuff they tell you about when you're marketing, when you're learning how to market. Yet those blogs knew effectively how to bridge somebody and take someone from level 5 or 4 and bring them down through a progression down to join. And what we found is how we tracked this is there was like a 47% opt-in rate coming from the blogs to the capture pages. 47%. There was like a 5 to 10% opt-in rate coming from cold traffic from other sources. And a little bit higher coming from like Facebook, like 15. And so we looked at that and we were like, Dave was like, oh my God, you know, what the heck? That's where we messed up. Changed all the coding, all the structure around. But what we were doing is we kept bringing people in from outside the niche. Because we'd already exhausted, you know, everybody who's, you know, if you've bought something in the make money online space or in the affiliate marketing space or you're part of an MLM company, you got an email. You got targeted on Facebook. You got all these things happening, and you essentially were like, I've seen it. I'm either in it or I'm not, or I'm not going to be a part of it. And that's another reason why we did these product launches, because they're now specific products to, you know, a person who might have seen the blog now can see this top producer product who is an MLM and be like, oh, I want that. Even if I didn't want the blog, now I want this. Which, sneakily enough, the blog training is in there enough to where someone's going to want to go buy a blog once they, you know, go through top producer formula. So you look at that and you're like, well, holy shit, that worked. And here I've been preaching the whole time, bring people in from your own niche and draw a bridge. We've used this word bridge more than anybody. We talk about it all the time, how to effectively do it. And so when you look at this, that means you're bringing people from these two down through a progression. And what you find here when you get into the actual how this looks is that you've got benefits happening for your headlines and a benefit-based message in these two, and then you've got feature-based headlines here all the way down, but there's a major difference between this, because what you have is all these people below this line are already in the industry and know that network marketing is a viable solution, or affiliate marketing is a viable solution, or selling info products online is a viable solution. I know that that's the solution to my problems, that if I do this, this creates leverage, this creates freedom, this creates automated systems that make me money residually even when I sleep. See, they already know the benefits. They're already aware of them. And so they just need to know the features. They need to know what's best. Here, they're not aware of your company. Level 3 in MLM or in affiliate marketing, they may be learning how to make money online. They may be affiliate marketers. They may be learning how to sell stuff or do something in internet marketing. And then they see this, and they're just like, okay, now I have the solution, because I'm looking for a solution. I'm looking for a product. I'm looking for either a product to sell or a company to align myself with to sell a product. So in the MLM world or the affiliate world, you're looking for a company that sells products. Well, that's level 3. It's company-based, okay? Where if your solution, they're aware of your company and power or whatever it is, right? So you're aware of your solution, it's your company. Over here is the actual product, which is the products your company offers. So the good stuff, the goodies, the bonuses, the blog, whatever it is, that's your product. So it's what you offer, what your offer is. The blog, top producer formula, 15K, masters, Inner circle. Get it? Got it. Okay. So that's the product stuff. And we'll address each one of these here, okay? And then this is the sponsor shopper. This is the person who knows about Empower and knows what the products are about. They've seen the offer. They've watched the sales video. They know what this is about. They're just looking for a person to join with because they're the type of person that needs that. So when you look at all these things and you start to understand the level that somebody's at, you can market to any one of these levels. And it's up to you which one you like the best. And not just the one that you like the best, but the one that suits you the best, that you're at, that you can effectively market to. You see, newbies don't want to start down here. They don't want to start at level 5, and I'll get into why in a minute. But first, let's get back to this and finish what this is about, okay? So, unaware of the problem, that's people, obviously, we've talked about. The way you market to them is, connecting with them with a common bond, common interest, precise interest on Facebook, common bond. That doesn't even, wow, that doesn't even really show up over there. That doesn't focus too well. So common bond, and then you're identifying the problem. So you've got to speak to the problem and connect with them. Because if you say you have the same problems as someone, they automatically develop more trust. They see you as on the same team. They see you as on the same side. So it's a trust building thing, which is the biggest element you have to start developing right away, is building trust. So how's that look? Perfect example would be a 4-hour work week. A good one. Someone who's, I like that one because that's someone who is, they've got a problem. Actually, you know what? Let's not do the 4-hour work because that's better for level 4, actually. Sorry. But we'll get to that one in a minute. Level 5 would be more so somebody that has the same hobby as you. So let's say you even like Amy. See if you can think of one here as well. Someone it's not in the industry and just someone who's a level 5, totally unaware, but a good common bond that you could use. Can you give me ideas? No? I take that as a no.
I don't know what you mean by a common bond.
Okay, precise interests, essentially. So I use law of attraction a lot, but let's see. Let's go with law of attraction. We'll come up with another one with another example later as well. But law of attraction, you can talk about in your headlines, law of attraction and what it does, how to live by law of attraction, simple tips, using law of attraction, the missing piece of the law of attraction, does the law of attraction work when, with trying to win the lottery, why it doesn't, why it would, all these controversial statements that if you like the law of attraction, you're gonna want to watch this thing, you're gonna want to read this article, you're gonna want to see what's going on here. And so those type of benefit-based headlines, notice I didn't talk about a feature, I didn't talk about, my company, I didn't talk about a Power Network, I didn't talk about my latest biz op or whatever it is. I talked about the benefits. Talked about the benefit somebody could get from that common interest. Someone that likes boating, okay? Like I was out today driving around a little bit, and I live up here at this amazing vacation destination place up in Frisco, up in Summit County, surrounded by all the ski resorts. And we have this amazing reservoir called Lake Dillon that up at 9,000 feet is like this big marina, and there's sailboats everywhere, and it's one of the most amazing places for sailboats. And beautiful, a valley surrounded by mountains, and we're way up in the mountains. An interesting climate, just awesome place, not crowded, amazing. Favorite vacation place for a lot of people. And I'm driving around down there, and all these people just love sailboats. And so, you can use a headline that says, want more time to sail on your sailboat, to sail the high winds, want more time to sail the high winds, or whatever the verbiage is for someone that loves sailboating. And you can say, want more time to do that. Here's how I found a solution to be able to spend most of my time on the sailboat instead of in the office. You have my attention. If I'm a sailboater, they're like, yeah, okay, but how did he do that? Because ultimately, right away, someone goes, well, I work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week or 60 hours a week as a professional, or I work my blue-collar job or whatever it is, and I would love to spend more time. Because during the day, they're working. You got to enter into the conversation going on in your prospect's mind. And what are they thinking about when they're working? What are they thinking about when they're dealing with the problems they have? What are they asking themselves? I'm working again. I'd rather be sailboating. But a lot of people don't see that correlation and go, well, there's something I can do about it. A lot of them just believe life is the way it is, and they just have that limited time, and they'll never be able to change that.
You could do that with fitness, anything. Like, you know, why I have so much time to hang out at the CrossFit gym and get in shape.
And because...
You know, like,
I was going to go there.
No time to get in shape? Learn how I have time.
Yeah, just join a CrossFit gym. You'll learn that quickly that's all you'll talk about, that you do CrossFit. So I was hoping you would go there. That's what I was hoping for. I just didn't. So yeah. So but you're looking at a common bond. Okay. So you're looking at the benefit of the common bond of the precise interest, the hobbies. If you can target runners, you can target snowboarders, you can target skiers, you can musicians, you can target all that stuff. And what I just saw today with the statistics of how people randomly target these hobbies and these reviews that just fill a small need that someone might be Googling or someone might be wanting to find out about, and you can get more targeted and go right to those people that have those interests when you find them on Facebook, LinkedIn, and then the certain other social medias that you can do that with. YouTube, same thing. I mean, like, you can do this, and it's not. I mean, just I've seen most people go, that doesn't work. Well, it's because they tried it twice and they quit because they didn't make all this money the next day.
Yep.
And so this is a process, and you're going to learn this higher level stuff hanging around here. So stick around. And so I could say, getting back to the sailboating approach, I could say, not once again the headline could be, not enough time to sail the high seas. Find out how I learned how to sail full time by working only part time. Someone goes, ooh, what? And then the next line is going to be the hook, the open loop, which kind of like sets the stage, like, this is the true story of how I was able to work myself out of my job, sail full time, and what I had to overcome was, normal problems just like anybody else, and I'm an average person that just wanted to do this more, and I found a way. And I'm going to tell you about that in a moment, but first let me tell you my story and what happened.
Kathleen wants you to do one for a professional chef.
Professional chef. Okay, perfect. Professional chef would be, so let's break this down. What's the problem with a professional chef? The problem is they're normally always cooking during the prime time hours that they would have a chance to enjoy life with friends. Because oftentimes professional chefs are working, and family. And dinner time is normally the time where most professional chefs are working, and that's normally the time where most families get together and have dinner. Now, in our fast-paced society, you see less and less of that as you go through the breakdown of the family thing that we see in our culture, but you still see people get off work, people get home from school, and the like, and the family convenes in the evening. And so if you're a professional chef, then you're normally missing out on that. You're missing out on friends and family. And so you either don't have any yet, and because you're a younger chef and you haven't developed that yet, but you're starting to get lonely because all you do is work during the main hours, and the time that you have off, everyone's at work or at school during the day, unless you're like a breakfast chef, which in that case we're not targeting you at the moment, because this is just a great analogy. So thank you, Kathleen, by the way. So the problems here are family, okay, not enough time with family, not enough time with friends, and fun activities, because the fun activities that a lot of people like to enjoy happen after work, because most people work a day job. And so they can't do those things because they're working all the time. So this is a good one. This would be the point where a chef may be like, look, this is what I know how to do. This is my passion. I do love it. I have fun with it. I love doing it. I make people happy. I love to cook food. It's my creativity. But this is what I'm giving up. And so what we did is we just clarified someone's values and problems. Got the problems, And the values are what they love to do. So they love their creativity. They love to be able to cook. They love making people happy. So save that, because you'll use that throughout your story. But when you target someone like this, you can say, spending too much time cooking and not enough time, with your family, or not enough time doing the things your friends do at night. Now that's the question. And when you ask a question, someone goes to that question. If a chef is hearing that, they go, yes. And then you can say, no, that would be the clarification. So the features would be how I worked myself, how I was able to still be a chef, but enjoy, but we'd have to go to scale back. How I could still be a chef, but have more time for my friends and family. That could be more of the feature, more of the second part of the headline, or what people call the subheadline. And let's tighten that up. Let's make that better, because that was just off the cuff. So, time with friends and family, how to work yourself out of, how to cook for yourself mostly rather than other people, but still get paid like a professional chef. So you're taking away where professional chefs have a good income. They make good money, typically. So you can keep that where they're like, wow, if I had this type of income but I didn't have to work those kind of hours, this would be awesome. Are you seeing a parallel here with everything else, with people we market to, and jobs and professionals? So as a professional chef, you can say, look, this is the story of so-and-so who did this, who was a chef. So what you want to do is, if you want to market to chefs, you've got to find a story of somebody who did it. Don't worry, it doesn't got to be yours. Now, it's good to start with your story and target people exactly like you that were in your same industry, and that helps, but you don't have to. So there's two ways to do this. There's three, okay? So one, use your own story, target your own people with the same industry that you were in. Two, tell a story of somebody else in another industry and target those people in that industry. Three, which is a little bit more of a higher level, but you just have to learn how to do this. You want to do the first two first. But you target other people and be a little more vague, where you either talk about professionals, in a particular industry, but not occupation specific. You may not say real estate agents. You may just say corporate professional, or C-level executive, where you'll say something a little more vague but still speaks to that person. Or you can be specific, and then you go into your story, and the bridge is, look, this works the same way. You've got the same amount of time in your day. I had the same amount of time in my day. Here's what I started doing in my spare time. Now I worked myself into a full-time income, and I was able to retire and quit the profession that I had. And this is how I did it. And there's no reason why you can't do it, because we had the same problems. And obviously, you want to approach that after you've done your own story and some other industry-specific stories where you tell a story of someone else in that specific industry, until you get good at that, until you learn how to keep people's attention and bridge to each step. Okay? So a lot of this is just weaving into the art of story selling. And so you guys are getting a lot of prelude to the product that I'm going to be creating here soon, called the art of story selling. So let's see if Kathleen, how did that sound so far? Did that make sense? Seems like relaxing. Okay. Yeah, definitely, Kathleen, about relaxing, I see that, Kevin. You just got back. Now you can find out what you missed. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. So, all right. That would be level 5 awareness, where someone doesn't even know that they really have a problem because they believe that things cannot get better. They're the people that live a life of quiet desperation, and they've really given up hope. And so what you have to speak to here is give them hope I mean, major presidential elections were won off of this. It works. Hope. Okay? Hope. Give them hope that things can be different than the way it is. And you just have to let them know, because they don't even know that they have a problem. That's level 5. All right? Level 4 is going to be aware of the problem. So this is someone that's pretty much like, something's got to change. I have a problem. I realize there's got to be a way to do this better, because I see other people out there doing it better than me that have the same industry, have the same background, have the same profession, have the same problems, have the same values, live in the same place, have the same circumstances in my life, but I see other people doing better. There's got to be a solution that I don't know about. There's got to be something missing. And if there's something missing, I want to know what it is. So for me, what I did with Law of Attraction, I was like how I found the missing piece that put it all together for me. How it worked for me for so long. How it worked for me when it didn't work for me for so long. And I found the missing piece, and after 12 years, it finally worked. So this one is a little easier and a better sweet spot to get into. I actually recommend, if you're doing a lot of storytelling, story selling type stuff, start with level 4, because people already have the problem and they're ready. They're just like waiting, like, give me a solution to my problem. And that way you can talk to them and say, you know, you can ask them a question. You can always use the question headline to get them to say yes, so that they're listening to the next thing. Or you can say how I did this, how I made my problem go away with this solution. And so you can do that in a lot of ways. Like 4-Hour Work Week is the same thing. Cool thing about 4-Hour Work Week and all of the related books around it is someone is like, they want time freedom. They're like, how in the heck does this guy work a 4-hour work week? Is this real? So they buy the book because it's a low-cost front-end offer that they can buy for $17 or whatever Tim Ferriss sells that for now. And people will take a risk on that, buying a front-end offer, and then they learn about all this stuff. If he was trying to sell a $300 course without that front-end book, it'd be a little tougher. That's why we have front-end offers. That's why we had a $7 webcast. That's why we had a $27 recordings. So same concept as you're understanding the marketing progression here. And if you can effectively say something like how I escaped the rat race, you can go into the Robert Kiyosaki stuff, how I escaped the rat race and now live the 4-hour work week, in my life, that's a headline. How I was able to, how this former sales professional, no, that's not, because not a lot of people are sales professionals. People shy away from selling. How this in-debt executive, former debt-ridden executive, how about that? Because people adjust their income to the level of, they adjust their outgo to their income. So whatever amount of money they're making, they start, buying stuff and getting credit and making payments and setting up payments and getting credit so that they're spending as much as they're making. So you could say how this debt-ridden corporate executive found a way to live the 4-hour work week and still have the same amount of money, if not more, and make even more money than he did in his job. You can tell a story of somebody else. See, when you're new, you can tell this story. And the thing is, remember, guys, you don't have to worry about, them going to the other person if you tell a success story, because you can say the person's first name. They don't even know the last name. They can't even go Google that person. So don't start thinking that if I give my credibility away, that people aren't going to join me. No, that's not the case at all. You're the one that brought them the information, and you're telling the story, and they might even literally join thinking that it was the other person, but it was coded to you. So you don't have to worry about that stuff. Obviously, it's not an issue. It's worked for very long. That's how Empower Network was built, on user IDs, right? So not an issue at all. Find somebody. This is the greatest thing. Find somebody in Empower Network that inspires you. Tell their frickin' story. How do you know their story? Because you've been on the Monday Night Empower Hours. You've listened to the Inner Circles. You've listened and watched their training. You've listened to them talk on stage. You have their stories. Now go break it down and find people just like them. Tell their stories and get people into your business. You should have no reason. You should never be at a point where you're like, I don't know what to write about. because you can always be pointing at other people, and based on results, there's plenty of other people out there you can tell stories about. I do it too. I've made $250,000 in this company, and I do it too. So don't worry about that. Tell anybody's story. I love the fact that Lawrence Tam is an engineer. I can talk to engineers about Lawrence Tam. I can tell them, do you know that this guy was making he made 50 grand in a month while being an engineer making 10 grand a month? And he did 50 grand part-time, and they finally laid him off because they told him he was making too much money in his other job, and they didn't feel like they could control him anymore. I'd be pretty freaking lazy at work too if I was making 50 grand a month. So, but that's the luxury you have. Use those. Those are your assets. So go listen to those stories. Listen to the way they tell their stories. No leader got there without understanding how to tell their story. You ask any top producer about their story, and they know how to tell it. And you ask them what's the most important element that they know about marketing and making money and having success in this industry, and they say, your story. Why is it that they say that? Because it's how they connect with people. It's how they relate with people. And they also learn and understand and recognize other leaders' stories, and they tell those stories and leverage their own. Make sense? Good. So now that we got that out of the way, this is all open game. You can talk about anybody and use their story and go target those industry-specific, professionals, whatever. Or you can go into, lots of different areas of precise interests on Facebook. You can do occupations. You can do interests. You can do hobbies, like we were talking about, fitness, music. There was like Toby and Layla were musicians, so I targeted musicians, talked about musicians on a blog, got a sign up. That type of stuff is like, it's a matter of paying attention and identifying what inspires you. There's plenty to blog about, plenty to talk about. Okay? So all you have to do is speak to the benefits. How this musician, how I'm able to do CrossFit in the middle of the day and spend extra time on it and feel the burn and feel the flow of the endorphin rush even better.
Blow my back out every month. And
see, you just... Yeah, and so the problems. Now let's talk about the problems. So the benefits are like, how I can do more CrossFit, how I can focus on my fitness and do more CrossFit as well. So if I wanted to attract people like Amy, I would say, how I can do CrossFit during the day, have enough time to be able to play my music and take care of my 2 girls as a single mother by working from home. Watch how I did it. This is the true story of how this happened for me. So many people are going to watch that. And what you find is when you get good at that, you don't even have to be a CrossFitter that's a musician that has 2 kids that's a single mother. And you see that happen, which is why Amy signs up men. But
a lot of the men are musicians.
Well, see, there you go. See, and so, like I said, you don't have to be perfect with this stuff. And that's a higher level, like I was talking about earlier. You can be more vague, but you also know how to attract and keep people's attention through the story structures, through resonating with people, the same values that, I taught values one time on one of these webinars. So if you understand those values, you can connect to people there, connect with them at their problems, and have a common bond. Well, that common bond was musicians. For Amy, she signed up men who are musicians. Well, that common bond was a musician. And identified the problems of a musician as well as all the other problems she had in life, and that inspired other people. It's an inspiring story. So this is the stuff that if you get this, things start to become a lot easier. But a lot of people, like, here's a perfect example. Abram and Nikki. Abram had this thing going for like a year or so, or a year and a half, where he had this blog where he was like learning something every day, and he'd do a video about it. And something like Inspiraction or something like that. Inspiraction. And people were watching him. Well, he had this huge following. So when he joined Empower, he was like, you guys are getting in. This is it. And he had a lot of massive success right at first. And then we got to a point where his sign-up slowed down, and he was like, well, what the heck? Well, he learned a lot of the marketing on how to market to people here. He had leaders telling him, market here, level 3, aware of the company, people who are already in the affiliate marketing niche, people who are already in MLMs, people who know that those are the solutions. But he had all these people up here. He had all these people that were aware of a problem, which is why they were watching, because they were inspired by him, and they wanted that hope. Some people weren't even aware that they had a problem, they were inspired. So he gave them hope. And because of that, he had a lot of people sign up. When he started going here with his same market, level 3, talking about features, talking about MLM-specific words, he had a disconnect. He couldn't understand what was happening. I remember talking with him. We were in the airport in, where was it? Orlando. Yes, last regional event. And he was like, we're having a tough time. Signups have slowed down. Don't understand why. And we're working through it, but people just aren't resonating the way they used to. They aren't responsive the way they used to be. It's almost like there's a disconnect. It's like we've learned so much and we've gotten better, so we think, and people aren't signing up. It's like we almost want to unlearn what we did to try and figure out where we went wrong. And so I sat down, and I remember him saying that at the time. I was just kind of like, well, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you changed when you learned all this stuff. After hanging around, a lot of high-level people, which they learned great stuff for this, but they need to learn how to target these people, which they didn't learn how to do. They were targeting these people with this kind of marketing. Major chasm here, this line, benefits, features. So they had a big disconnect. And so when I broke this down, I drew this out on a napkin for him at a barbecue. And Abram was just like, you just made me $1 million. That was the biggest disconnect for the last 6 months that I couldn't figure out, couldn't understand. Now they're taking off again. It took right off. They learned this stuff and they went and implemented it, and right away they had like 3 signups in a day. They hadn't had that happen in 6 months. All year, actually. And so it works. And what did I just do for you? I just illustrated how something worked for somebody else in a story. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. Go ahead. Just let that process. That's it. That's how easy it is. Now, yes, obviously, the part about me showing them the solution, so I was giving them credibility, but also myself credibility, is a higher level thing to do, but that helps. You can do it with anything. Go ahead, Amy.
No, I don't know what I was going to say. I don't know. I muted myself, didn't I? I was going to say something.
Okay. That's fine. I'm just reading some of the other comments here. So, yeah. And guys, let me know if this is all making sense in the comments. Just let me know if this is making sense, or if this is all just like, I'm just.
No, this is awesome. This is it's so good, and I mean, I've seen this like a million times already. With the different trainings that you've done, and I get something more every time I see it. Like I get a better understanding every time I see it. So this is just, I mean, I agree that this is stuff that if people could really get this and apply it, it changes the game big time.
Yes, it does. Cool.
So my point is, don't gloss over if you're like, oh, I've already seen this, because I've seen it a bunch, and I learn something new every time.
There's $1 million plus right here in this understanding, and it should be treated as such in your education. This here is the concept behind what we sold our event on, and how to tell stories through that. And it's a massive success, which now is going to turn into a professional product, which the only way you can be an affiliate of it is attend the event. And that's coming soon as well, now that I'm back. So think about this, and a lot of you have been switching this up. A lot of you started here, and as you've learned more about this industry, and you've become very savvy to understanding how to say my company's the best, here's the features, and you got very good at, here's the products, and here's the offer, here is what the blog is so great for, here's what the Top Producer Formula is about, here's what the 15K does for you, all that stuff. That's all features because they have benefits, but the features are the main deal because that's what people need to know because they're already aware of the company and the products. They're already aware that this gives them financial freedom. They're already aware that they have, that they can have more free time, that they can have leverage, they have more time with their family, they have more time to do their hobbies. They're aware of all that. So the features are what's important. But if you're marketing to people up here, once again, that are unaware of the problem or only aware of the problem but are not aware of the solution, and you start talking about this stuff with specific network marketing jargon or affiliate marketing jargon and how to recruit more reps to somebody who has no idea what a rep is, they're like, huh? And the issue is, Empower Network, as we know, has the best infrastructure, the best backing, the best minds in the world here, and yes, our immediate here, level 3 and level 2, have seen it. A lot of them have seen it already. So playing here is tough. There are still people that aren't convinced that if you're more of a guru and you're more of a credibility person that has a lot of results, you can still play here and sponsor people at a level 5 where you have credibility and everything. Now you can still do that, but it's much more difficult than it was when we started, when there was still, not a lot of the market had seen the offer. But the cool thing is, this up here is unlimited, which is why this pyramid here goes up, because every time it goes up, there's more people in each level to draw from. And this is like huge. This is really like this. This is.
I saw a stat the other day, Chris, that goes into this category mostly. That's mind-blowing, but it talks about how there's 2.8 billion people online, and Google predicts that everybody will be online in the next 5 years. So in the next 5 years, 4.4 billion more people will be getting online. So a lot of these people, they don't even know that it's possible to make an income on the internet. They're not even on the internet. But once people start to figure that out, if you can be positioned so that you can get in front of these people as they're coming on the internet and start to educate them about what's possible, there's going to be 4.4 billion potential new customers entering in the next 5 years. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah, and so you're going to have all of this still coming on, still happening, getting more of these people. Just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then people will get on, they'll be exposed to things, not through us, but through other people, through other companies, through other stuff, and there'll be more to even market to down here.
Yeah.
So it's unlimited. You don't have to worry about market saturation or anything like that when you know how to market to level 4 and 5. It's what a lot of the top earners do. And so if you're here, then just learn how to do it right. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And also, once you get to here, now I'm going to get a little bit into, I taught some of this specifically, but I'm just going to go over this real quick, and I'm going to add another dimension to it like I've done with everything here when I taught it last time. So benefit-based headlines, great, awesome. Problem-solution headlines, benefit-based headlines. So we've got benefits. And then, here with the company, you've got, let me do this real quick. I might be able to just pop this up and make this easy for people. I will actually show people the slide that I gave only to people at the Next Level Mastermind Intensive. It looks so pretty. And that's what we'll do. Okay, so for the moment, I'm going to switch over to screen sharing this, which is now, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, see if I can make this big. Can you see the full screen yet there, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So obviously, guys, unaware of the problem or the solution, you look over to the right, and this is how you market to each level. Benefits plus values, which is all of the problems people have, and the things that they value in their life. Like, with the chef, the values are, free time, family, friends, having fun to experience life in the time frame that their friends do. Not all their friends are chefs. Some of them may be, but not everybody, and not their family. So better quality of life, that's their values. And the common interests, which as a chef, you have their occupation, but you also want to look at some of the common interests that a lot of chefs have. You may have chefs that, if you look into it, and I don't know because I'm not a chef, that have very similar interests that almost, what you might say, cross-train into their profession, and cross-train from their profession into their common interests, their hobbies. There may be something that a lot of chefs like to do just based on the way their brain works and how they like to be creative, and they have they're sensation seekers because they like tastes, they like food, they like to taste food, they like to try new things, they like to experiment with the way things taste. And so there may be particular hobbies or interests or things that essentially they would fill those sensations in another way. So it's likely that chefs like certain things that are sensation seeking, just like tasting food is, and whatever that may be. It might be wine tasting. It may be different types of drinks, where that they like to pair wines with food. So you may be able to talk about wines or certain things like that. Other sensation seeking stuff you can talk about too. Common interests. So that's where you can hit them. So in your stories, you can talk about what they value and the common interests and the benefits of being able to have the free time to do the things they love, which is their values, and do the common interests they have, and that's just the benefits of it all. So number 4, aware of the problem but not aware of the solution, and that's normally questions that address the problem with the benefits in the subheadline, which say yes to the headline. And they're solution-oriented headlines, which can say a lot of what we talked about before. It's how I solve this problem through this. Fill in the blank with this and this. Solve this problem through this. Fill in this with your problem and solution, and use some kind of a common interest as well in your headline. That's the benefit. How I was able to spend more time doing this that I love by solving this problem doing this. And that's how you market to level 4. So then you see the red line there. Once again, I've always want to make the distinction that people above the red line, they're not in the niche yet. They're not in the genre. They're not in online marketing yet. They're not in network marketing. They're not in MLM. They're not any of those things. And you cross that red line, and that's when you get people that have been exposed and are already in the niche. And here, features and proof. This is why a lot of people post screenshots, which, as a marketing tactic is smart and works. However, the FTC doesn't like it. And what happened is so many people, the few ruin it for the many. And what I'm talking about is scammers that essentially post all this fake proof and unrealistic expectations to people and mislead people to get their money. And you see a lot of that going on in the opportunity market. And it's sad. And that's one of the things I'm on a mission to change. How I illustrated a lot of the times what happens is a person comes into this industry in desperation. And so they see somebody's features and proof and they're desperate. And so they're like, okay, I need to find a way to get that same kind of proof, that same kind of result, that same kind of money, how they made this much money in a week or whatever. And then they buy whatever it is and they learn that same desperation trick. And since they're desperate, they're coming from a place of desperation, they start marketing to other desperate people, and they don't know any better, and they haven't really learned how to solve the problem yet, but they're marketing to other desperate people. And what happens is it causes this chain reaction of events of the blind leading the blind leading the blind, to where now you have a majority of the industry, and not a big majority, and really not a majority in the sense of more than 50%, but a majority that makes a lot of noise. They are the minority, but they're the majority that makes a lot of noise about marketing to desperate people. And when you make decisions out of desperation, you're making decisions out of fear. When you're making decisions out of fear, those decisions never come out well. So you don't want to make decisions out of desperation. You don't want to deal with desperation. You don't want to market to those people. You don't want to bring desperate people into the place. You're not doing yourself or the industry a favor. And you're not doing desperate people a favor either. And if I had marketed to desperate people, then my customer value would go way down, because that means I'm bringing in every Tom, Dick, and Harry that is full of excuses and has one chance to make this work in a couple days, or they're gone.
And no vision.
And no vision. Exactly.
They don't connect to their vision before they join, so they don't stick around.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And so, as a caveat, when you get into level 3 stuff and you're starting to say, hey, here's all my proof, here's all the stuff, make sure you're honest. And the other thing that's tough about this, now here's who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to all of you right now. You're going to take this one of a couple ways, and this will prove what level you're at. What I'm about to say, you're going to take one way, or you're going to take another way. And from what I just have said, you've taken one of two ways. And one is, okay, well, let me back up here. I don't want to confuse people on this. You gotta be careful, because this is a fine line. The best way to explain this is, if someone sends you if someone markets with a screenshot proof of how I did this, and you see that proof of results of making money, how I made this much money last week, let me show you how. And they say, let me show you my $500 a day formula. One person may take that sentence and they'll take that statement, and what they will think in their mind is, if I only knew that formula, I could also make $500. That's one. Now the other person sees that same thing, that same $500 formula marketing, and they say, this person figured out how to make $500 doing it their way. Their formula may help me, but I know that my results will be up to me, and it may not be as much, if any, at first, depending on what I do, or it may be more. But it depends on how skilled I am and how hard I'm willing to work. Because, and what I just made the distinction about is the first mindset that says, if I just get that $500 formula, I'll be able to make $500 a day. That is the newbie and the employee mindset. Because what you come from as an employee is, I put in a certain amount of hours, and I do just enough to get by for those hours to not get fired, and I get the same result, $500 in a week or whatever. I get my paycheck based on the hours I put in. That's an employee mindset. A plus B equals C. And the other mindset is that of an entrepreneur. It says, this is up to me. And I can't blame my lack of results on anybody else. And I have to make this work for me in my unique way, because a lot of this is personality driven. And the person who showed that proof of income to you with their $500 a day formula, or whatever it is, may have a different personality with you than you. And they may have a different way of looking at things. And they may have a different set of ethics and values and common interests and benefits in their life. They may have a different set of problems which you cannot relate with. You see, so there's not a common denominator that says, oh, if I use that $500 a day formula, I will too make $500. you're sadly mistaken. It never works that way. So which one are you? And if you're the first one, that's okay. I just educated you. Now you know better. And if you're the second, congratulations, you're well on your way. And if you haven't had success yet and you're thinking the second way, that means your success is starting to happen now. Because there's nothing really stopping you. The only thing that may be stopping you is one thought. And that thought is what you think in your everyday thoughts and what you're creating every single day, which may be the very thing that's holding you back. And that often sounds something like this. My breakthrough is just around the corner. The missing piece of the puzzle is just a couple steps ahead of me, just one step away. It's got to come because I've come so far. My breakthrough and all of it is going to come together for me tomorrow. Not today, but tomorrow or a week from now. I can feel it. It's coming. I can feel it. It's coming. I can feel that my success is coming. My hard work is paying off. It's coming soon. All of those things are presupposing that you're speaking that it's all going to happen in the future. And so every day you wake up and you are creating it to happen in the future, not today. So if you change your verbiage to my breakthrough's happening today, my success is coming now. I have everything I need right now. All I need is within me. Everything I'll ever need is within me. I'm shown what I need to do every day in every way. The solution becomes clear to me in every moment as I grow. My breakthrough is here. I am breaking through. I am creating the success. I am getting the success. The success is happening now. Because everything you learn is a success. You gotta learn to celebrate it, feel good about it, be grateful for it. It's the stuff we've talked about for so long that people glaze their eyes over and go, well, that's great and all, but I need to know the strategies. The friggin' strategy is gonna be different for everybody. And I was even willing to go over some of that with people tonight specifically. And I still will. Maybe not tonight, but eventually. Because we're at the 2-hour mark and we gotta wrap this up. But now, before I go on, hopefully that helps you understand the mindset shift you need for yourself as well as the people you are attracting into your business. You see, guys, my intentions are to attract people who are ready to shift and ready to change. I'm not attracting people who are stuck in their ways and are never going to come around. So I don't use verbiage that attracts those type of people. Even in my emails, you'll notice they're very life-enhancing, all about transformation, all about change. Because I'm cultivating those people. I'm catering to those people. There's plenty of them out there. And so a lot of times, if someone is marketing to the lowest common denominator, it's because that's where they are too. And they don't have a very good understanding of themselves or other people. And so they have to churn and burn. They have to do a lot of marketing and bring in a lot of people and make a lot of front-end sales, but they get very little upgrades. And you see a lot more of that in the level of awareness 2, where they're aware of the product or company but not convinced, because they're the skeptics. So let's finish this up on level 3. And this is the features and proof, results-oriented, how-to, feature-based headlines and comparisons. Real simple. You'll see Landon do a lot of this. Landon is like how I recruited these many reps in this amount of time. Feature-based, recruiting reps. It's a feature. It's a benefit, but the real benefit of recruiting reps is more sales, more upgrades, and more pass-ups. That's the benefit of the feature of recruiting reps. Because people know that if they recruit reps, they make money. They make sales. They get upgrades. They get pass-ups. So that's the perfect example I can think of right away where you're specifically speaking to MLMers or speaking to affiliate marketers. how I made more sales in my business last week than I did all last month. That's a feature-based headline. How I did this or how to do this. Features. Level 3 awareness. They have the problem. They want to recruit more reps. I mean, they have the problem and they know the solution. They know it's recruiting more reps. So let's talk about the features of how to do that. That's your headlines. That's the message you speak to. So cool. We got that. Now, aware of product or company but not convinced. Level 2. This is someone that's essentially looking for a deal. They don't value people too much. They value products. They value information. They value quantity. You see, what I almost want to put here is quantity number 2, quality number 1. Now, there's a way to marry the two together, but you got to know how to do it right. But we're going to, for the sake of brevity, for the sake of time, we're keeping these separate right now, and in a later date, we'll talk more about how to combine those. So, or we might be able to get into it tonight, but I doubt it with the time we have. But aware of the product or company, but not convinced. So they're probably the person, how this looks is, they're the person who's aware of Empower, and they're aware of the blog, and they're like, Empower Network seems to be, have a lot of people in it, but how smart are those people? But I could see it being a good deal, but I don't know about that blog. How effective is that blog for me? And I think I could make money with the blog. I could see how that could work, but there's also other blogs out there that I could get that may give me the same benefits. Why should I buy the blog from Empower Network? Why should I join Empower Network? And so if you give them bonuses, which justify the value, that's great. If you can give them discounts in some way where you can frame the value and justify the value of the blog and the value of any of your bonuses, then the discount effect gets into play where people feel like they're getting more. They're getting quantity. They're getting a deal. And bundles where, we had these all-in bundles for a while where, you buy everything in a bundle and it gives you discounts on stuff. And then time-sensitive offers, when you give scarcity away and say, look, I know you're interested in this, when you're saying that to the prospect, I know that you may want to buy this and you're just looking for the right deal, you're looking for, the right set of circumstances and deciding whether or not it's worth it, but I'll make it worth it for you to do it right now by offering a discount, or I'm only going to offer this particular bonus for this amount of time. So you're giving them incentives to buy right now. And you can get a lot of people in through here and still do fine. But you're going to bring in a lot of people. You're going to have a lot of people leave too because they're not connected to you. They're not connected to the number 1 level, which is aware of you. They don't get any of that, so they don't want to stick around. The moment you stop offering bonuses, the moment you stop offering a bunch of free training and all these different deals and time-sensitive offers and manipulation, for another way to say it, good and bad, they're gone. And they're on to the next thing. Like, well, maybe I should go try that other blog deal now. Maybe I should go try that other thing. Maybe I should go try this other opportunity. And people here have, it's not a loyalty factor in them. They're looking for the next thing to give them the rush, the next thing to give them the deal, the next thing to give them the adrenaline rush, the next great thing, the next great savior. Because normally these people, what I have found, don't take a lot of responsibility for themselves. Not always, but I've seen it happen more often than not. Make excuses. They buy products filling that void in their brain, that feeling in their brain that if they spend money on something, they're solving the problem. And oftentimes they don't go through the products anyway. Some of them do, but not always. So that's 2. And like I said, you can still make a lot of money there. And if you properly, effectively bridge people to number 1 from number 2, then you're fine. We're going to get into that now. So number 1 is all about the people. They have a very loyal part to them. They like the exclusiveness of joining somebody who has value to offer. They got access to that person who has value. That person has credibility. They already know that this person is an authority or a thought leader. They have a lot of influence in the industry. And the Inner Circle 101 coaching that you may give to someone, where people say, if you join here at this level, you'll be a part of my inner circle. People love that.
So it really comes down to differentiation. How are you different? And what you've got to know about this is where your customer values jump so high it's ridiculous. Now, you don't have to always be full of success in order to do this level, but it's almost like playing handicapped when you're competing with others that have a lot of success if those people are really looking around and sponsor shopping. Now, the cool part about this with telling a story that hasn't been really emphasized in marketing is if you are connecting with people on their values, common interests, and the same emotions that they feel through the problems and the struggles that they have, and you tell that through a story, and then you tell the solution in the story, and you clarify the values of that solution and why that works for that person, and it's the same as you, and those people resonate with that, they'll stick around. And you may not necessarily have to be so great or full of authority and influence yet, because they connect with you and build trust with you. This other part here is aware, not sold on you. A big element here I didn't put here, I didn't have room for it. I should have put it here as I think about it now. It's trust. Building trust. Because the same effect, and this is where I really learned this, the same effect happened to me when I was a real estate agent. And I told this story, I believe, at the Next Level Mastermind Intensive, where I was a real estate agent. I was one of the youngest real estate agents, the youngest in my town when I started. I was 22. And I was afraid that people would think I was too young, too just wet behind the ears, and not enough maturity, and they wouldn't take me seriously. I didn't have any experience. And on top of not having any experience, I was young. And so I thought I was doomed. And I had a realtor who was one of the top realtors in town, been doing it for 30 years, take me aside when I had told him and confided in him and told him my concern. And he said, you have nothing to worry about. What you're going to realize is that if you build their trust and you're honest with them and you tell them, look, I don't know that right now, but I'm going to find out for you, then they know you're not going to lie to BS them just to make a sale. And you prove to them that they can trust you. And although you may not be the most knowledgeable yet, they can trust you to find out the answers to the questions they have. And that's why they'll work with you. Because they trust you. And you know what? He was exactly right. I worked within the first 18 months, I was in the top 10% of all realtors in my city. And I was the youngest. I didn't let that bullshit about being too young or not having enough experience or thinking I had to have credibility stop me. Like I see it stop so many of you going through this process. And it doesn't need to. It's completely pointless. You can be a brand new marketer and not have to worry about ever worrying about credibility, because you can tell stories about others and effectively and properly use it for you. Okay? So, all right, I see that Amy popped off here. And, okay, cool. All right, awesome. And I'm going to quickly check the comments here and see if you guys are still following me. Okay, cool. Cool. Thanks, Kevin. Cool, guys. And so that's how you tie it all together.